Last week I asked you all what you would like to see in my next devlog, and I got tons of awesome suggestions, and I chose one for the base of this devlog, and the one that I chose was this one by Private Octo, which says, what was your favorite thing to add in the Outbound Ghost? If you read the title, you'll know that the answer to that question is the combat system, but I've also picked out 3 extra comments to answer throughout the video, so stay tuned to check out those answers. So why is the combat system the favorite thing I've added into the Outbound Ghost? It's actually one of the more recent additions, but it's actually because I really love turn-based RPGs. My favorite one of them all is Bravely Default because the combat system is just so good. I won't go into details about how it works, but if you know how it's like, you'll definitely be able to draw some parallels between it and the Outbound Ghost's combat. My favorite thing about Bravely Default is how you can have classes and subclasses that you can mix and match and create powerful combination out of those. So for the Outbound Ghost, I've got this dynamic in a more badge-like system, which I call aspects, and let me show you how that works. So we're in game right now, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what party members I have. So first of all, I've got Regret, which is kind of like a jack of all trades, has some good debuffing and buffing. And then we've got Camaraderie, which does some healing, reviving, stuff like that. And then we've got Solitude, pretty basic offensive figment that can also attack many times per turn, so it can do many buffs in one go if you've given them that kind of moveset. And then Callousness is a defender that can take hits on behalf of other figments. So I'm going to do a bit of crafting right now, and I've made it such that I don't have to have any of the materials to actually craft. And I'm not going to go scrolling through all of these because I have a lot of them in the game, but I'm just going to skip forward to when I've decided which ones I want to have for my loadout, and then explain how that works. Cool, so I'm done with the crafting, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Regret the aspects that I want to give it. So the first one that's going to be given to Regret is called Ether Exchange. And so what it does is it increases AP by 3, but reduces power, speed, defense, and healing to 0. So AP basically is your maximum amount of actions you can do in one turn. So if you've got 5 AP, you can store up AP points, and you can use up to 5 actions in one turn. But you can see here the problem is that my power, healing, defense, and speed, of course, is 0. So if I try to use an attacking move, it's not really going to do anything at all. Like, it's not going to do any damage. So Swift Hit, Magic Strikes, Lesser Heal, that's based on healing, it's not going to do anything. And my defense is so low that I'm basically going to take infinite damage every single time. But the good thing now is that I can act so many times, and I can use all of these buffs, you know, consecutively in the same turn. But the problem is that I start off with 0, so I have to store it all up in terms of ether points, and then I won't be able to use it until I've stored all those up, and that risks me being hit, and then of course wasting all that for nothing. So I'm going to give it Fast Burn, which means that I can start battles with 3 AP, but my max AP is reduced by 1. You know, I have 5 AP, it's not really an issue if I only have 4, because now I can start with 3. So I start off the battle with 3, and you know, right off the bat, turn 1, I can buff up stuff 3 times, so that's amazing. So that's it for Regret right now. You know, I have 1 extra slot, but I'm not going to add too much because that's just going to be a bit too complicated. But next up is Camaraderie. So this one I wanted to make a bit of a more, you know, healing archetype, and so I'm going to give it Selfish Curing. So what this does is it reduces healing by 50%, so you can see now healing is 67. If I give it this, it's going to be 34. But instead, healings, you know, heal the user as much as the target. So if I heal myself, you know, I'll have normal healing amount because I heal myself and the target, which is also myself. And if I heal a party member, I'll be able to heal my party member and myself for half of that amount as well. So, you know, it's pretty good for making sure that your healer is alive, but it also reduces your healing a bit. So what I'm going to do to combat that is Restoration 1. No, sorry. That would be Selfless Mending. So there we go. Reduces power to 0, but increases healing by 15%. So I can give myself this, and I'm not going to be doing any damage at all, but my healing now is, you know, at least a bit higher up. And just to further increase that, I'm going to increase my healing by 15% more. And now I'm almost back to my, I believe, 67, which was my original stat. And so Solitude's next. I'm going to give Solitude my favorite aspect of them all. It's called Mimicry. And so you can use Mimicry, and it's basically whatever you use Mimicry on, you turn into that, and you can use all of their skills. So it's really cool for situational, you know, moments, and it's a great time. I'm also going to give it Stun Break, which is a move that increases stun in enemies. And I think for now, I'm going to give it Power Hungry as well, which increases power and SP. So not too complicated apart from the Mimicry. And then Callousness is next. I'm going to give it Renewal, so 5 HP at the start of every turn. Pretty decent for a tank. Next up is Vigor Trait, so increases HP by 15% but halves SP. So I'm not going to be using too many complicated skills with callousness, so I'm okay with giving up that SP. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is, I believe actually that's it. So let's go to a battle. So we are in a battle, and the first thing I want to do is use my mimicry ability, which I really like, and it basically makes it such that I turn into the enemy that I use it on, or I can use it on my own party members, and I get all the skills that they have available. So I'm going to check out the skills that these guys have available. So boosting blows and ether break. And this one has boosting blows, so obviously I should just take this one, right? Because it not only has boosting blows like this one, also has ether break. And if you check this out, this character has 99 defense, which basically means that every single move that I'm going to use on it only does 1 damage, or if I hit the perfect timing, it's going to do 2. So I'm going to just, copy the panda. I'm going to speed it up as well. And let's see. So this is the character that had a lot of ether points that it can use, so many actions in one turn, and starts off with a lot of actions. And I'm going to use it to, should I use it to buff up the Solitude, which is the one that just turned into a panda, or should I use it to debuff one of these guys? I think I'm going to use this. So I'm going to use minor power, which means that I am going to increase its attack. So I'm going to do that 3 times because that's the maximum amount of status ailments you can have on a character. And then after that, I am going to debuff, so minor defense down on one of them, so double the effect. You get a buff and a debuff on both the character that's using the attacking move and the character that's going to receive it. So that should go well. And right off the bat, I'm going to take advantage of the skill or the aspect that I gave this camaraderie, and that is the one that whenever you use a healing skill, it does less healing, but it heals both parties. So there we go, both topped up. And you'll see now that Regret just died in 1 hit, and that's because it's got 0 defense, which was a byproduct of the aspect that I gave it, that gave it a lot of action points, or ether points that do the actions. And so I'm not really sure what to do with it now, because reviving it is not super useful. So maybe I'll just keep it dead there. And if I had equipped an aspect that could take advantage of it being dead, so maybe if I attacked it I got a status boost with one of the aspects, it could have been more useful, but I didn't equip that, so maybe for next time. But what I'm going to do is minor limit break, which gives, it says TP there because that's what the AP used to be called. I'm going to give an action point or ether point to my Solitude, which means it gets an additional action the next time it's going to act. I really hope it doesn't die. There we go. Perfect. So now it's going to use a bunch of boosting blows, and it should do a lot of damage. A lot of stun damage as well, so it's going well. And should I... So I get another action because I got the minor limit break. And I think I'm actually not going to attack this one because I don't want to waste the damage that I'm doing because I'm going to overflow. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to use it on this guy. And multi-hits are very effective on this guy because it only takes 1 damage per hit. But since it's a multi-hit, it's actually going to take as many times as it gets hit, right? So I'm going to go like that. You can tell that I can do 2 damage if I time it correctly. It actually took 5 damage from that as opposed to, 1. So it's going pretty well. And I'm actually going to... I'm going to heal up my red panda guy. So lesser heal on both of us. And that's perfect. So next thing I'm going to do is shelter up this one. Oh, I should have minor limit breaked again. But oh well. As you can see, it just took the hit for the panda. And I'm going to use some boosting blows. So yeah, complete overflow, but you gotta take it out eventually. So now, I don't really have much to do with this character, so I'm just going to revive the other one. And it's going to act last anyway, so maybe it can get away with not getting hit. Actually, I'm going to shelter it, so I make sure it's not going to get hit. So we got another character up, and again, it redirected it, so that was a very good decision on my part. And so what I'm going to do now is I am going to, where is it? Magic Strike. So this is a 5, is it 4 or 5? It's a multi-hit move, and it should do well on this one, even though my attack power is really low because it's going to take 1 damage anyway. So here you go. That was a really good move on that part. So here we get 6 more damage, so it's doing well, and I actually think I'm going to boosting blows on this one again just to take care of it. timing's not good. Oh, I could have probably... No, I couldn't have defeated it, but I could have gotten close. What should I do? So I know that this guy is the only one that's going to attack in the rest of the turn, because you see it on the left-hand side of the corner of the screen. I'm going to actually SP steal, because I'm going to take a chance that it's not going to hit my regret, which is the one with low defense. I should have probably not done that one either, because that was such low damage, but you know, that's how it goes. Good, so it didn't attack my regret, and I'm going to now hopefully finish off this character with my magic strikes. Ooh, perfect, so that was exactly on the dot for the damage, and now I can use some boosting blows on this guy, and then hopefully next turn it should be done. So that's kind of how the combat system is going in the Outbound Ghost. It's really intricate, a lot of options that you can do, and I'm really happy with how deep it is. What you might be asking yourself now is, this combat looks pretty cool, but are there any boss battles? And well, you're not the only one, because Johnny Cage asked exactly that as well. There are many boss battles in the Outbound Ghost, and some of them are what I will be calling memory breaks, and these are basically powered up overworld enemies that will test certain approaches to combat. These are found when you have these fuzzy visuals in the overworld, and when you get close enough to the source, the combat encounter will activate. So in the game, you're a Figment user, so you use your emotions to battle your memories, and the other kind of boss battles apart from memory breaks are against other Figment users. So that means that these characters have overflowing emotions such as regret, jealousy, solitude, and more, and you get to battle these emotions firsthand. There's a reason I haven't shown much of the boss battles yet, but soon I will, and they're really a blast. Another question I got that is loosely related that I got from Bazoopa is, how do you design some aspects of the game like the UI, world, or combat? And I'm going to tackle the combat, and this question ties in perfectly with the advantages and disadvantages of working with publishers, which not so average games ask for as well. Well, the general philosophy of the combat of the game is to have every single enemy have a function that forces the player to play a certain way, and then you have interesting combinations with those. So, for example, the red pandas that I showed beforehand have a move called Ether Break, and this punishes you for stockpiling too many ether points. I've also got these mushroom enemies that poison you, and that punishes relying too much on multi-hits. So, how is this related to publishers, you ask? Well, recently I've been working on fixing a bunch of bugs, and I haven't had much time to do the design of the new enemies, so my publisher Digirati came to the rescue and is helping out through designing a bunch of them, specifically their combat functions. I've got this document that basically outlines how every single character in the game works, and they're going to expand this for the new characters. Specifically, the person doing this is called Jeff Luke, and he's the creative director of Digirati, and he's worked on such an array of awesome games. He was the director of Drawn to Life, worked on Scribblenauts' level design, and is also mentioned as a special thanks in Cuphead and Shovel Knight, so it's safe to say that the enemies that he designs are in real safe hands. That's it for today's devlog, and make sure to leave any questions you have in the comments, and they might make it into the next video, so see you all.